Certain of them were the royal line of Scotland.
Maybe people.
Well, and they became the royal line of Great Britain. Obviously, with the death of Elizabeth I, basically a Stuart king, 5th of Scotland, 1st of England became the Brit there. Well, he wasn't. It was the union of the crowns, so it was two separate countries but the same king. It took another 104 years before we had the union, and that was probably to a lesser degree forced upon us. But
so Stuarts ruled.
well, the name is derived from Stuart.
Stuart.
High Steward of Scotland.
Stuart. Basically speaking, the high-ranking officers of any court was the constable, who tended to deal with justice. Well, he dealt with military injustice. The sheriff, who directly dealt with justice. Obviously, the British have carried these things to your country. You have sheriffs and marshals. Marshal is another name for usually the war leader. So he wasn't actually a policeman. And the steward was so on and so forth. So he'd probably be like the Prime Minister in some respects. So a very high-ranking officer of state. And the reason the Stuart became the royal family of Scotland is Robert the Bruce had a daughter who married his High Steward, and they took the name Stuart, with all its derivations and spellings, and all of them are right.
They're all the same. Yeah, cool.
It's just how you spelled it, especially when you migrated. So they tended to spell it whatever way suited them. So there's all sorts. There's about probably at least 9 or different spellings in Scotland. They're all the same clan.
Oh, wow.
They're all the same clan.
Yeah, ours was with the D.
Yeah, they're all the same clan. And you'll find a lot of the spellings were like that, especially as a lot of the names were.
No, but
these people.
What he's saying is you taught
But
us how
we
to
like you guys because you ran
Well,
we ran
it depends. Well, I'd say it's probably the Spanish, the French, and the colonists that ran
Yes,
about.
yes.
Depends what you call that war. You will call it the Revolutionary War, American War of Independence. I think a more accurate statement would be all these, but your first Civil War. Because there was no Americans. The only people there were English, Scots, wee smidgen of Welsh, a few frogs left in Louisiana, and a few Spaniards down in Florida. But fundamentally, the 900,000 or 1 million people that formed the 13 colonies spoke the Queen or the King's English.
Yes.
So they would have known. There'd maybe be a few of the older families' accents would maybe be changing, those that had been there since the 16th century, the founding fathers and all that. But fundamentally, they would have spoke something like me. So when that Revolutionary War broke out, I'm sure you could probably look at the population in thirds.
How do you look at the Indians? The natives?
They were there.
That's
it. They were there. And they probably were mistreated hugely by your country as that's now coming out, and you're beginning to get a wee bit of your embarrassment away from you. There's a new clumsy country that you did terrible things to. Whereas you just need to look in Upper Canada and see how the British treated the Indians, which was a different way. I mean, your word Yankee actually means Englishman. That's all it means, is Englishman. And they've probably coexisted quite well in places. Certainly in the northern, what is now the northern states, maybe not so much down south, but the Spanish influence would probably cause lots of angst.
That's what caused that.
Possibly, I'm saying. And then a few land grabbers coming in. But generally speaking, for the Scots particularly, we had kith and kin as the most important thing to us. So we would have no problems in marrying into the Native Americans, or what you call them now, nice and rounded and cuddly. But the Red Indians, we would have no problem marrying into them because that was our way. If you're married into someone, it is easier to deal with them than when you are away from them. So,
Go on then.
Thank you. Wow. He does. Scott, you have to take a picture of that.
Why?
He looks like your dad right there.
Nah.
Those
He
pictures
does.
I see.
He does.
He's a Stewart.
Yeah, he is. I can see it.
Which one?
Him. He looks like Gary and Kevin.
What an awful color.
Yeah, like the eyebrows. Yes, I can see it. Stuart.
Look, this is the very corner,
That round
the
part.
round turret.
That's really neat.
The crow's nest. Is that what it's called?
Oh, wow. Look at the
That's water in there.
This is the top floor of the Menzies Castle. Turret in the corner. Another turret over here. There's rooms back in there.